Welcome to the high school edition of Football Friday, brought to you in part by Josh Houston and Associates, one source, one company. By the Metro Nashville Police Department. Apply today at mnpd.com. By Southern Trophy House. Visit their showroom at 2705 Nolensville Pike. And by Star Physical Therapy, committed to serve. Now let's head to the gridiron with George Plaster and Billy Derrick, a high school edition of Football Friday. And we welcome all of you to Mount Juliet High School, and specifically the room we're in is the home of the Bear News Network, BNN. Let's show them. In a few minutes, there'll be a bunch of kids in here who hopefully will hoot and holler. But this is where a young group really learns some broadcasting. They've got a beautiful television set over to the right that we would steal in a heartbeat. I mean, that thing is really nice. And looking forward to talking a little bit about a team that is 7-0 and getting some people's attention. They've got a rivalry game tonight against Lebanon, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Billy, at least for the first hour, not a word is to be said about the Atlanta Braves.
Oh man, I was wondering if you were going to even come today, George. But
no,
well, I'm sure that'll be mentioned. But no, I know we don't want to.
No, it may come up during the 3, but not during the 2. Trey Perry is the head coach at Mount Juliet High School. Nice enough to join us here at the beginning of the show. How you doing?
I'm similar to you, so we won't. Not talking about it in this hour is probably a good thing. I'm a diehard Braves fan, so yeah, a little upset about that, but excited about tonight.
How far back do you go?
All the way. Dale Murphy was my guy. That was my first baseball card.
Yeah,
I think I had 150 of them at some point. Still do, I think.
Love it.
To dust it off, but yeah.
I can tell you because I just did a program with him, 6 months ago in Manchester. Dale Murphy is every bit as good a human being as you want to hope he is.
It doesn't surprise me, and my grandfather kind of got me started with Atlanta at the time. Of course, at the time, I mean, you had about 3 choices if you were a television watcher, but yeah, I've stuck with them and thick and thin, and it was an unbelievable year. I think it's going to give us take us some time to realize that part.
It's going to take a little while longer.
But I think it's the opponent a little bit too.
Well, I do think
that was going to be my other part is if Philadelphia can go ahead and get knocked out now, maybe it'll sting a little bit.
Just seeing them lose.
Yeah. Right. So you grew up in a very athletic family. For those who don't know, his father was a legendary high school football coach a little north of here, up in the White House, Portland area. You never had a chance, did you?
No, not really. He tried to talk it. I actually talked me out of it several times, but
why?
I don't know. I don't know if it was more so the coaching side of it or the teaching side of it. And I do think, I mean, seriously, like I like that TSSAA has instituted their not putting a cap on their non-faculties because, in a program like ours with 125 kids, they're part of the lifeblood of a staff. And so it's good that those guys, and you get so much different psychology and philosophy from those guys that are out in the workforce too, that they can bring to the table for the kids. So that wasn't around when I got out of college, but it's there now. It's good.
What do you think is the biggest thing you took from watching your dad all those years?
There was a guy that walked up to him at a banquet at Portland, whatever year, and I'm sure it was a successful season. And Dad tells me this, and he said it was about as blunt as it gets. He said, I didn't always agree with everything that you did. I'm sure that was play calls, but I do appreciate the fact that whether it was a star quarterback or the water boy or water girl, you treated everybody exactly the same. And his consistency to this day in being able to do that is pretty remarkable.
How cool is it that he's kind of around what you're doing now?
Oh, I mean, he's still an important. He's our director of operations, but um, y- I heard Lou Holtz once say about golf that he chose not to be good at that sport, and I choose not to be good at the upkeep of fields.
Agricultural,
Right. So Dad does it, and he's still. I mean, you'll see our
yeah.
surface tonight is pretty awesome, and not just that, but I was talking to somebody last week, and they said, "Is he still? He still studies film. He still walked up 2 weeks ago against Antioch and said this might be a good time for a little misdirection," and he was right. So
Let me ask you this, because football has changed a lot. These 7-on-7 camps have got these young kids way past what I remember growing up. Does your dad ever say, if I was going to go back in now, here's something I'd do different?
yeah, and I think one thing that he talked to me about when I transitioned from being an assistant to being a head coach is, you know, you don't have to do things exactly the same as I did just because they worked in that time and in that era. And what did Nick Saban say? Adapt or die. And that's a guy that I would consider old school in the profession now, but
He
he's
said it kicking and screaming at one point.
exactly right. uh, but I feel like that was really good advice because I mean, I'll give you one quick example. In our practice schedules now, we don't try to do anything unless it's a team session that's a talk through. We don't try to do anything over 12 minutes without some sort of break or redirect. Because think about what we're coaching now. It's right there in their hand and it's boom, 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 instant information. And that's the way they process and learn. So that's the way we do it.
Phew. It's different, isn't
Yeah,
it?
a lot different.
It would drive your dad crazy.
Yeah. So there's certain aspects that I'm sure he's glad to be retired. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, um, on the high school level, I've always thought that this is where the real fun is. That on the college level, even before you had transfer portal and NIL, that this was still where you could make the biggest difference. You buy that?
Yes, sir. Mike Leach, the late Mike Leach, great Mike Leach. I listened to a podcast before his passing, and he was asked he actually was asked the question, "What's the toughest job?" And he turned it into why he feels like high school is the most important because he even talks schematics, and there's some truth to it. Like in the NFL, there's a lot of cookie cutter, you know. Unless it's a certain player with a certain matchup, there's a lot of seeing the same formations and the same defensive fronts every week. In college, there's a certain amount of it depending on conference and those kind of things. But in high school, you may line up one week against five wide and run and shoot tempo offense, and the next week gets 3 yards in a cloud of dust with three tight ends in the game. And you have to be able to. There's the adapt word again, but you do. You have to be able to do that week to week. And Alex Golish just put out a thing, kind of. He's at South Florida now.
Right.
He's an offense coordinator, and he put out a thing that I thought was really cool. And it was really kind of a charge at the government, the state of Florida, that they need to pay their coaches more. But he went on to talk about what that investment means, and it's obviously impacting our next generation, and it's going to continue to. So yeah, it's a special sport.
Um, I guess I'm kind of curious. Do you seek out, and here's where I'm coming from in this. When Vince Dooley was still alive, I asked him one time, does Derek come to you? Oh heavens, heavens no. I don't get into, and it was very much I stay in, away
Right,
from all that. Do you seek out your dad's wisdom pretty often or just special occasions?
daily, and I feel like, and now it's that way too. It's not him coming to me. If he comes to me, it's usually a line like, "Now you can stop me if you don't want to hear this," but which I've never stopped him. But no, I mean, I still do because he was so innovative in the psychology of coaching. You know, you can have, and they're out there, this geniuses of scheme, right? but if players don't play for you, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so where there's probably less scheme talk now with him, there's still very much, psychological, uh, even scheduling and things like that. Oh yeah, I still lean on him.
How do you get through to kids that, I mean, 40 years ago, all our parents really had to worry about was beer.
Right. Right.
Is little Georgie
On the
having a
weekend.
beer and we
Right.
don't know it.
Right.
And now it's internet and it's drugs and it's this and it's that. How much harder is it to be a good influence when so many other areas are grabbing at them?
Frank Martin said in a press conference several years ago when he was still South Carolina's basketball coach that he felt like kids haven't changed, parents have changed. Um, to a certain extent, I know what he's saying, and I'm a parent too. I've got a junior on the team,
Right.
But here's what I think. I think kids are still very much impressionable, and I think all of those things you talked about right there are right there in their face all the time. However, I feel like idle time is the number one contributing factor to branch to one of those things. And we don't give them a lot of that. And that's a testament to their work ethic and their families and that stuff. Somebody's got to, if they're not 16 yet, somebody's dropping them off and picking them up too. But I just feel like what we do with our strength conditioning program, we don't call anything off season anymore. It's second season. And that's the big difference in the sport too. I mean, if you feel like football season runs August to November, then you're probably not going to be doing it very
Next
long.
August isn't going to work.
That's right. But I think that's a big. Now, I mean, they still screw up, and but we also talk about here. We call it our culture is MJ DNA. And we talk, and with it being alumni night tonight, it's really cool to talk about that because and I know it sounds cliche to talk about what's on the front of your chest compared to what's on the back of your jersey and those kind of things, but it still means something. And we talk about you cannot leave Mount Juliet High School's campus and think that you've taken off the Mount Juliet football jersey. Like it follows you wherever you go. So when we hear feedback from the community, we want it to be positive.
Yeah. So positive is 7-0 and a chance to clinch tonight one of those top two seeds in your region kind of stuff. Tell me a little bit about how you all have gotten to 7-0.
I'll be honest with you, we're ahead of schedule. And the reason I want to point that out is if you track us for the last couple years, like local people that are going through middle school and looking at the classes and those kind of things, our junior class is pretty talented. And so what does that mean? I mean, are they playing a little bit above their head? Are they a little bit ready before we thought they'd be? Yes, but why? I think it's great coaches, assistant coaches. I am so blessed to have the staff that we have right now. And it kind of factors in what I talked about earlier, including the non-faculty guys. But I think a big tip of the cap has to go to the senior class. And they play key roles. I mean, we have some dudes on defense and offensively too that are key players that are seniors, but they understand the impact that the junior class has, that the sophomore class has. They're paying it forward. They're leading by example. We talk about you better model it before you speak it, and they've done a tremendous job of that. And so, George, you also have to look back and say, well, if they're doing that, that means last year's class had something to do with it. I think about people like C.J. Danion that got a full ride to Yale that's starting at safety right now at a prestigious Ivy League school, and that was our safety last year, our wide receiver that was leading these guys,
Juliet to Yale.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
pretty good.
Right before that, we had Michael Rutland that was a captain at Princeton, so obviously that goes well beyond Mount Juliet High School football, and that includes where we are right now, in the academics. And I always say, hey, it's not a recruiting pitch. My son goes here. People ask me why Mount Juliet High School. Well, number one, because academically we go toe to toe with everybody, and obviously athletically we're proud of what we're doing too. And you don't have to pay anything to come here, so that's a pretty good deal.
How many? Is this a group that will play a lot of college football?
The senior class,
Just in
in
general,
general,
this team.
so there are 3 or 4 seniors that definitely will. But in the junior class, yes, we have some with some Power 5 offers. We have some that are going to get some Power 5 offers and Group of 5 offers. But I will tell you, and my parents are probably tired of hearing me say this, but they understand it. When you talk to college coaches now, the tough part about those, especially the December signings, is that if you're not uber elite, your competition is a 26-year-old man right now.
Yeah.
And I know that'll
And
change
that's
to
the
some
part
degree.
not getting talked about a lot.
Absolutely not. And COVID was going to phase its way out as far as the 6th and 7th year guys, but the portal's here to stay. NIL's here to stay. And so that makes our job honestly a little bit difficult. But I also talk about this with parents and players. Portal goes 2 ways, right? So if they're not convinced by the time you graduate high school, go play college football. Do it on that field on Saturday, and you might be going to another field the next year. I mean, it's a reality.
Is that's one of the things that has maybe fallen through the cracks a little bit of this whole changing college football universe in the last 2 years is, number one, the percentage of kids that get in the portal that don't live to tell about it. Nobody ever talks about that.
Right.
And the other is, it's really hurting the high school junior and senior who 10 years ago was automatic, excuse me, and now is not automatic.
No, that's right. I mean, we get it even from some of our alumni, that the portal is saturated. Like, tell that side of it. When you get in, jump in both feet, and then all of a sudden it's crickets and you're stuck. And you know how it works when you want to go back. I mean, that's usually not going to happen. And so what we do to try to separate, and we've still had some pretty successful Decembers and February signing days. What we do to try to separate is talk about what you can do in the classroom, because at the end of the day, your options are here when you have the academic record behind it, and they're here when you don't.
Yep. Mount Juliet and Lebanon. It's a rivalry, isn't it?
It is. I'm going to quit calling myself a transplant because I've been here 20 years, but I'm not from here. And that was one thing that I had to learn. And not just that, but they've been playing together since 1977 consecutively, but they've played since the 40s, right?
Right.
And so it depends on who you ask. It's kind of neat because Mount Juliet's rivals are tiered. Like, the old heads will say Gallatin, Lebanon, and they don't want to hear anything else. The mid-30s people are Wilson Central because that's when the school split.
Right.
And this crowd's more with Green Hill across the street because the school split again. So, but even our teenagers in here recognize the Blue Devils and the Golden Bears is a pretty big rivalry.
Yeah. Is there I'm trying to think, what's the thing, Billy, LSU and Arkansas play for?
The Golden Boot?
The goal, yeah. Is there
There may have been one at one time. We do a Mayor's Cup with Green Hill.
Yeah.
But I mean, the deal with Lebanon is pretty simple, and it's the same when we played Wilson Central in week 6, and it's going to be the same when we play Green Hill in week 11. And by the way, I'm pumped that we're all back in the same, including Gallatin, that we're all back in the same region. I'm also pumped for our pocketbooks. I think we're going to have a good crowd tonight, and that's important. It's the lifeblood of how we buy helmets and shoulder pads. But the deal with Lebanon is pretty simple, and you said it at the onset of the show. The winner of this game puts them in prime position to win the region and host a playoff game. And if our expectation is to win the region, and we don't hide from that, but we have bigger expectations than that, and so tonight's the step in getting to that.
Thanks for coming on here and doing this. By the
Thanks
way,
for having me.
Is this group going to behave?
I hope at 7 p.m. tonight, don't get kicked out. But other than that, get loud. Yeah, don't behave.
Are they allowed to make any noise in here?
Just in here? I mean, I think so. I think it's a good time to do it.
They can make noise.
Why don't we
Y'all
practice?
gonna win tonight?
Oh, Good Lord, that wouldn't have paid the light bill.
That was weak.
That better be
That
that better
was
be a
weak.
warm up. It better be just be a warm up for later. It's
Okay.
a teaser.
So let's hear it again. If we had said, listen, you don't have to come to school on Monday,
That might have
would have done it, wouldn't it?
That might have.
You don't have to come on Monday. Oh, yeah.
George
Coach, thank
George
you.
Plaster's the doctor's note, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll take our first break, and then, Billy, it looks like after that, some players to watch.
Yep.
Which may give them an opportunity to, I don't know, boo.
Yeah, we got a Golden Bear. We got maybe some rivals in there, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. This is a big old.
Maybe we should make that the
trophy.
That's
a big old bear right there. Okay, we'll go to the break. No talk about the Braves until the 3 o'clock hour. I'm halfway depressed. We're back in a moment. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Okay, we are back here in Mount Juliet. We are in the, I guess, the broadcasting site, what they call the home of the Bear News Network. We've already had Coach Trey Perry joining us earlier, talk a lot about his dad. His dad, a legendary coach up in the Westmoreland and Portland areas. It's a cool story. And suddenly, here's Mount Juliet at 7-0 and got some great things that they can accomplish not only tonight with a win, but the rest of the season. A lot of activity going on, even though there's some fall break around the mid-state area. So we try to pick out 4 players to watch each week, not necessarily in your game, but around the Middle Tennessee area. Billy, who do we start with?
Well, we're going to start with their game, and we're going to start with quarterback Tyler Travers from Mount Juliet. And they like it, George.
Doesn't Tyler deserve better than that?
Maybe a little bit better.
I mean,
He'll probably get it tonight.
It was polite,
respectful,
but not raucous.
Well,
Can you give his name out one more time?
Tyler Travers. There we go. 6'5", 205 quarterback. He's a junior, first team all-region player last year. He had 263 yards and 4 touchdowns in a win over Wilson Central a few weeks ago. He's got a strong arm, accurate quarterback. He's got elite size. George, I think we'll be seeing this guy on Saturdays down the road.
6'5".
Yeah, big kid.
Good for him.
Big kid. And, of course, anytime these two teams get together, it's going to be fun to watch. So looking forward to seeing Tyler on the field tonight. But Mount Juliet will have to face Key Crowell, wide receiver from Lebanon.
They couldn't hear that in the parking lot. Really? What's the kid's name again?
Key Crowell. I'm just going to keep saying his name.
Lovely sportsmanship.
Yeah, senior receiver. He's the motor that powers this Blue Devil offense. He reached 1,000 yards on the season in 6 games. He's a wide receiver and a corner. He's got offers from Austin Peay, Arkansas State, Central Michigan. It's going to be a fun matchup. Both sides offensively have athletes that they want to get the ball to, and Key Crowell is that guy for Lebanon.
Are you saying over under 50?
What do you mean?
A lot of points?
Oh, points? Oh, yeah. A lot of points tonight, I would expect. So, I mean, that means defensively, whichever defense steps up, I think probably has a great shot to win tonight. And Lebanon has beaten Mount Juliet the last 2 years. So, I think they've got some motivation.
Really?
They've got revenge on their minds tonight. And,
wow.
And it's going to be fun to watch.
How do y'all feel about that?
Terrible. They don't feel good.
Well, that was a great answer.
That was.
You had kind of a muffled boo, and then one kid in the front, terrible. What the hell do you think?
Up next, Riverdale quarterback Braden Graham, a 6'1", 205 senior. He's a 3-star on 24/7. He's got offers from Georgia, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Louisville, and Duke, among others. And George, he's got 1,796 passing yards this season, 24 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. So, what do you guys think of Riverdale quarterback Braden Graham? That was a good one.
Let's bring Braden in, see how that plays out.
I don't think they play Riverdale.
So, Georgia.
Yeah, he got a Georgia offer, and it's a little bit different than a lot of his other offers, but he's another kid that looks like he could be playing certainly on Saturdays at a high level. So looking forward to watching him tonight. Also, Tyson Walcott, running back from Friendship Christian. He's not the biggest guy, 5'8", 160, but he scored 7 touchdowns in a game earlier this season. He also had a 4-touchdown game. He's got 28 total touchdowns on the season. He's also a state champion wrestler. So he has carried that Friendship Christian offense and is going to be fun to watch throughout this season.
So you don't want to screw with him if he's got wrestling ability. Thus, this group stayed very quiet when you mentioned his name.
Yeah, they did. I mean, certain guys, the Lebanon wide receiver, Key Crowell, is certainly a guy that they don't like.
Y'all are a one-trick pony.
But I think a player they do like is Tyler Travers. So that does it.
So we're stalling around, are we?
Well, those are players to watch. So.
Where's George Robinson where we need him?
I don't know. We do need George Robinson to check in and join us
in just a minute.
But we can talk more about this game. George, one of the oldest rivalries in the state. As I mentioned, Lebanon has won the last couple of years, but the Golden Bears are 7-0 and they're 4-0 in region play. They're coming off a big 31-14 win at Antioch a couple of weeks ago, so they're trying to keep it rolling. And it looks like we do have George Robinson checking in with us now, so we can say hello to George.
George Robinson covers high school football for the Tennessean. A lot of you read his work each week, and he is on the line with us. George, you have a great first name. You already knew that. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing good. Before we get into any specific matchups, give me in your mind now, we're 8 weeks into the regular season. In the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, give me in your mind, let's say, the top 4 teams that are out there, regardless of classification.
Yeah, I think. I think first of all, you got to start. I would start with probably Pearl Cone. Obviously they're in Class 4A. I think going into this season, Coach Tony Brunetti. They were in the state championship last year, but they had a lot of injuries, and they went into the playoffs, and particularly that state championship game, a little bit banged up. And I think Coach Brunetti kind of felt like he could have done some different things last year that could have put them in a position where they were a little bit more healthy going into this year, or going into that state championship game. So this year, going into this year, he wanted to make sure that his players had 100% health, and they've aside from a few injuries here and there, they've done that, and they've proven how good they are this year. They're got a perfect 8-0 record. They're ranked number 1 in class 4A. They're playing really well right now. They got White House next week. So I would start with them being the number 1 team. I think after that, in the Nashville area, I think there's several schools, particularly in Rutherford County with Oakland. Obviously, I think you got to throw them in there. I think CPA has played really, really well this year. I know they're not ranked number 1 in their classification, but to me, they're probably the number 1 ranked team in Division II, Class 2A. So I think you also got to throw in FRA. They've been playing absolutely phenomenal football, so far. And I would throw in Brentwood. I mean, that's a team that I don't think a lot of people felt like was going to have the type of season that they've had. But Coach Finch, Clint Finch over there has done a fantastic job, bringing in their transfer quarterback and Baylor Hayes, and they're undefeated right now as well. So, I think those are the teams that I would start with, in the Nashville area. Then you got some teams like Friendship Christian. Page has been playing really well. Innsworth has really kind of picked up some steam here. So, there's a lot of really good football teams going into week 9 of the high school football season. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and we're already at week 9, and it seems like this time is just really goes by really quickly.
Yeah, if you could pick 2 teams and call it your dream matchup that aren't going to play from the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, and they won't end up playing because of classifications and all that. But it's a game you'd love to see. Who is it?
I would say you know who I would think would be. I think would be an interesting game, regardless of records. But just because I would love to see Pearl Cone's offense against Lipscomb Academy's defense. I think Lipscomb Academy, as much as they've struggled this year, and they have, I still think they feel one of the better defensive teams in Middle Tennessee. I would love to see them play against Pearl Cone because I think Pearl Cone probably has the most exciting, fastest, quickest offense in the city. I would love for I would love to see those two teams match up, and I think they played. I think they scrimmaged each other. But you know how scrimmages are. It's kind of mundane football. Nobody really wants to show you much. Very vanilla offense, very vanilla defense. I think Lipscomb County ended up winning it, but it was close. I would love to see those two teams at full strength in a regular season game with a game that maybe mattered. Like you said, they're two teams that are in completely different classifications and two different divisions. So you'll never really see that kind of matchup in any kind of significant way on the football field. But I would love to see them schedule each other for a regular season game. It may not mean anything in terms of their region or playoff picture, but certainly I think those two teams would be a lot of fun to watch play each other.
Mount Juliet's 7-0, and we're here on their campus broadcasting tonight. I'm guessing you've seen them, although I don't know that for sure. Tell me a little bit about what we will see tonight.
Yeah, and I probably failed to mention Mount Juliet at the top of this broadcast, but they're another team, perfect record right now. They have been playing well all season. I think Lebanon. These two teams have been playing each other since maybe the late 70s or so. So this is a huge rivalry game that dates back 45 years or so. So. But Mount Juliet's been playing really well. We've talked a lot about Tyler Travers, their quarterback. John Michael Crudup has been playing really well as their running back. They do so many things well offensively that it's hard to kind of key on one guy. And I think one of the things that Mount Juliet kind of brings to the table is that at any given game, anybody can kind of step into that limelight, step into that spotlight and play really well for them. But I think, defensively as well, they've really played solid football. And I think that's sort of what the catalyst for their 7-0 record right now, 4-0, and they're in region, I think it's region 4-6A. So, like I said, big region game for them. Lebanon's a really good team. I really like Keith Crowell, who is just sort of an all-around athlete for Lebanon. He plays all over the place, can do so many different things well. I think he's on our top 100 high school football seniors list that we've run several times this year. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I think this is probably the best game of the pack tonight.
Let's move over to another one. Stewart's Creek and Smyrna. That one is at Smyrna, the Mayor's Cup. It'll be on 560 WNSR, their game of the week. Stewart's Creek 5-2, 1-1 in region play. They're coming off a 45-14 win at West Creek a couple of weeks ago. Smyrna has a hot start to region play. They're 2-0 in the region. They struggled before region play, but all that matters, George, is region play, especially coming down the stretch of this season. And,
Right.
If you can win your region games, that's what matters. They're looking for their fourth straight win. They're coming off a big win over East Nashville last week in the game of the week, the MyTV 30 game. What are you looking at in this matchup?
Yeah, and that's a big win too because East Nashville's very good. I mean, I I
Yeah.
think everybody knows they're coming off of 2 straight state championship appearances in Class 3A, and but like you said, Smyrna's been playing really well lately for the past month or so, actually. And you know, they're 2-0 in region, and obviously the top 4 teams in your region move on to the playoffs. So Smyrna's put themselves in a really good position right now. Now, obviously, they want to kind of keep that rolling, particularly against Stewart's Creek, which is a big game, because I don't think Stewart's Creek's ever beaten Smyrna. And so this will be an opportunity. I know Stewart's Creek is going to be motivated to finally kind of break that, break that hex that Smyrna has on them. But or try to break that hex. But I don't think it's going to be an easy. This is not going to be an easy game for Stewart's Creek by any stretch of the imagination. Smyrna's been playing really well, and you got to put sort of those past games behind you if you're Stewart's Creek and just sort of focus in on this task at hand, because I do think that Stewart's Creek has the kind of team that that can win this region.
George, in the last 2 years, TSSAA has had to sort of ask schools to play a game or two on Thursday night because of a shortage of officials. When they get to the playoffs, same deal, or is it all Friday night stuff?
It's from what I understand, it's pretty much Friday night from the playoffs on. I don't recall too many Thursday night playoff games. And you got to also remember, as the playoffs move on, there's less games, and so you're having teams get eliminated. And that's really the biggest issue with the referee shortage, and the reason why they play on Thursdays is because all the games that are scheduled for Friday, the officiating associations across the state would have a hard time getting getting all the games officiated the way that they need to. You could probably have all your games on Friday night and not have any Thursday games during the regular season, but you probably aren't going to have the number of officials at each game that you'll need to have it officiated competently. And I think that's the biggest thing. Nobody wants to go into a game where there's just not enough officials, and there's a key moment in a game that gets that or a mistake or a penalty or something happens where you don't have enough officials there to be able to make the correct call. So that's a big reason why they move some games to Thursdays during the regular season, is just to make sure that they have enough officials to cover those games on Fridays as well. But once you get in the playoffs, it's Friday nights. Like I said, I don't recall any Thursday night playoff games except for when you get to the state championship game. Of course, you got Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the 3 straight days of state nine classifications, 3 games a day for 3 straight days. So and like I said, once you get into the playoffs and you start having teams get eliminated, that's less games, less teams in the playoffs. So by that point, you should, the TSSAA and the officiating associations are able to kind of staff those games without any trouble.
George, appreciate it as always. Great info. Hope everybody will read your stuff in the Tennessean. And thanks as always for the visit.
Thank you, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, George.
George Robinson joining us. By the way, during the 3 o'clock hour, we'll get into the college and the pro stuff this weekend. Did you notice 3 of the best 5 games in college football this weekend involved the Pac-12,
Yep.
Pac-2?
Yeah, formerly known as the Pac-12.
I listed as the best games of the weekend Oregon at Washington, 2 Pac-12s, Miami at North Carolina, ACC, A&M at Tennessee, SEC, then Southern Cal at Notre Dame, and UCLA at Oregon State.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting that 2 things have happened for a conference that has completely fallen apart. At the very end, They've got the most entertaining football going right now, and the best quarterbacks in the country are, for the most part, coming out of the Pac-12.
It makes you feel bad for a lot of those fans, especially Washington State, Oregon State, two teams that are in the top 25 this year, but, they're a part of the Pac-2.
I'll tell you this, under Plaster Bet of the Day, I've got 8 of them. I noticed Scott Van Pelt last night had 8, and he and I didn't agree on much of anything. So he's getting the bucks. I'm getting the victories. We'll be back with our Star Physical Therapy Health Moment of the Week when we come back. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you, and if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Okay, we are back here at Mount Juliet High School. Got a big crowd out in the audience. They are mostly just thrilled. Oh, yeah, look, all of a sudden they get on TV. Did you notice that?
Yeah, they're about to see themselves on TV too, so this should be funny.
We'll show them.
There it
Oh,
is.
yeah. Wow. Everybody wants to be on TV. I love it.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so our Star Physical Therapy Health Moment of the Week this week has Holly Taylor on the hot seat. Holly, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing this afternoon, George?
Honestly, what we've got are a group of young people who seem to be thrilled to be out of class. You want me to confirm that for you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They're very happy to be out of class.
I love it.
So I watched, I guess it was Sunday night where the Chiefs were playing. I don't remember who they were playing now all of a sudden.
Broncos.
That was last night.
Oh.
But Travis Kelce had an injury a week ago that really was a non-contact injury, but he came down weird on the turf, and you could see the pain that he was in. He tried to go last night. He played very well, but was hobbling at the end. Holly, talk to me a little bit about all this MCL and ACL stuff and why it happens.
Yeah, so your knee has 4 main stabilizer ligaments, the MCL, LCL, PCL, and then the ACL. Usually we hear about the ACL the most. It's the one that's usually injured the most. And a lot of times it's they're going to cut. You get a plant and a rotational force on it and it tears. Sudden stopping, sudden cutting. Those are kind of the main non-contact ways of tearing like an ACL or any of the ligaments in the knee.
So, you see this where a defender goes with the helmet toward the knee to just basically get a ball carrier down. A knee wasn't made for that, was it?
No, not at all. And what you can see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and what you see a lot of times with those is anytime you get a blow to the side of the knee, a lot of times it's the outside of the knee, you're going to have like an MCL sprain where, a sprain is to a ligament and you're going to get some tearing. All ligaments are graded 1 through 3. 1 is kind of minor. You're going to have a little bit of stretching, maybe a little bit of micro tearing. You're not going to have a lot of instability with that. Grade 2, you're going to have some tearing. And you're going to have some instability with that. And then a grade 3 is a complete rupture.
It was in Minnesota last week. It was the 3:00 game against the Vikings. And when he went down, it was obvious he was in a lot of pain. He took his helmet, slammed it into the turf when he got to the sideline. And to my shock, he was back in there in the second half. And while I don't want you to speculate on what Chiefs team doctors saw or didn't see, were you surprised he was able to go back in there?
Not really. Some things can cause a lot of pain, and I think he ended up having an ankle sprain. I think if you go back and look at the video from the Sunday game, right when he's sliding, you can kind of see that left foot kind of buckle a little bit, and it kind of goes in like to an inversion sprain. And And then and if you've never had an ankle sprain before, or any kind of sprain before, it can cause a lot of pain, a lot of swelling, even though the damage itself is not maybe as bad as it seems. So I'm sure with them, great docs, great athletic trainers. If he had good strength, good stability, can be taped up and can run and can defend themselves and can be probably about 85, 90%, then they're going to let him go.
So for the parents who have kids playing, when this kind of stuff happens and Friday night's over and the kid's still in a lot of pain, what should the parents do?
If they have an athletic trainer at their school, definitely be talking to their athletic trainer about getting in to see their team doc. With Star, if you don't have an athletic trainer, Star has appointments where you can get in to be seen without a referral through direct access, and parents can call their insurance company and find out if their insurance offers direct access, and they can give us a call and we can get them in and get seen. And if it looks like it's something that really does need to see a doctor, we can set them up with somebody fairly quickly to get them seen.
Beautiful. Any other tips you want to throw out there?
I tell you, there's some really good ACL prevention programs out there that are cheap, if not free, to set up and use. A good one is from USC. And all people have to do is Google USC PEP program. That's PEP, ACL prevention program. Free to look at, free to download, free to use. You just need some cones and a little bit of equipment. And they have shown great results with that. And there's a variety of other programs out there, but it's a great one for coaches to utilize.
Beautiful. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Hope your team wins.
Thanks, y'all too. Bye-bye.
Holly Taylor from Star Physical Therapy joining us on the show. Last thing we do each week is go back 7 days earlier to the Player of the Week. Southern Trophy House sponsors it. Billy, who is it?
This week's or last week's Player of the Week, I guess for last week, CPA running back Josh Marinick. Take a listen to these stats. 4 carries, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I don't know how do the quick math there in your head on average yards per carry there, but pretty good numbers against Antioch last week. Very underrated running back in the state too, on a really good CPA team with a ton of talent. Of course, we were there earlier this season. They've got, Ingle Martin's got a ton of talent on that team, and they're well coached. So Josh Marinick is one of the guys to watch the rest of the season, and because of those numbers, I looked at the numbers and said, there's our Player of the Week. So congratulations to Josh Marinick. And again, big thanks to Southern Trophy House for presenting it.
Josh's father, by the way, was a very good college basketball player, Mike Marinick, under Rick Byrd at Belmont.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that? Okay, as we end this, and I know this group wants to stick around.
Oh, yeah.
They're
dying to stick around.
To hear the plaster bets of the weekend. And I would think that alone would keep them interested, huh?
I think they'd rather be on their way home. Or maybe even headed to basketball practice.
If I had a choice, I'd want to hear the bets. Anyway, couple of thank yous before this group is dismissed. First of all, James Peach was an absolute peach of a human being to allow us to get in here and, play around with all this equipment that they've got in here.
Steal his studio.
Steal his studio. Beautiful studio. Beautiful setup.
Yep.
That set over there is big time. And that thing is nice. There are a lot of television stations would like to have that. The other is Michael Berardi, the athletic director here at Mount Juliet. You all are free to applaud him. Wow. That seems so forced, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a little forced.
Yeah, it was. It was. But Michael did a great job getting this set up for us in, 48 hours time. And so we're very appreciative to him and to James. Good luck to Mount Juliet tonight as they go after victory number 8 in 8 tries against a Lebanon team that's pretty darn good at 5-2. Big rivalry game starts at 7 o'clock tonight. If you're in the area, stop in because these are your college stars of the future. After the break, Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. The Titans are in London getting ready for the Ravens. Then later I'll give you the tale of the tape of why I think the Titans will not win in London against Lamar Jackson. We'll get into the games of the week in college football, most of which are centered out of the Pac-12, and then plaster bets of the day. Count them, 8 of them. This is a great weekend if you want to make some money. You got that, Billy?
Might be fading you this weekend.
Money. That's what matters. Stay tuned.
We'll see.
We'll have more from Mount Juliet High School after this.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615 256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, we're back, and we'll get into the college and pro football stuff that we want to get into here during the 3 o'clock hour. Terry's not ready yet, so I think what we're going to do is go tail of the tape of what's going to go on Sunday morning from London. The game will be on the NFL Network, and you'll notice the check marks are actually closer.
In the middle.
Yeah, closer than you might think. And I'll kind of explain where I'm going with it. I can't figure Baltimore out right now. In particular, a week ago when they dominated the Steelers, but simply didn't know how to throw the knockout punch.
That was a bad loss.
It was a bad loss. And so because of that, I've got this a little bit closer than you might think. First of all, there is no home field in London, or at least I don't think.
Although it'll
is.
be interesting, is it louder when the Titans score or when the Ravens score? Or is it louder when the Titans get a sack or when the Ravens get a sack? I've always
no way to know.
In a lot of those London games, they're not used to a lot of football, watching a lot of football. So maybe it's a lot of times it's loud all the time. They're just screaming and yelling for no reason.
They don't know what they're cheering for.
No, it's always interesting watching those.
So normally the Titans would have a huge advantage in the running game. Not so much so here. I give the check mark to Tennessee, but barely. Some of that because of Lamar Jackson, because he is a running game in my mind in and of himself. By the way, I see Terry here. Can we flip out of that go to Terry's Daily Titans Update, which is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So dial Lori up at 615-969-4350. Both teams are in London as we say hello to Terry McCormick and put him on camera there from Main Street Media. Terry, what is the story?
Well, George, the story is the Titans arrived over in London and they immediately unpacked and went to practice, and that ended around 9 o'clock this morning, our time. And so they got to spend some time sightseeing after that. They're going to turn in, get a good night's rest, and then sort of be on a London schedule from here on out. Injury-wise, there's some concerns. Tier Tart is going to be questionable for the second straight game. He didn't play last week. Aaron Brewer has joined him as questionable. So that's also a concern, as you don't want to be without your starting center if you can help it. He's been battling a neck issue. There were 3 guys that didn't even make the trip. Traylon Burks, I don't think there's any surprise there. Luke Gifford, special teams linebacker, he's been out for a while as well with a hamstring, and Elijah Molden didn't make the trip with a hamstring issue. So going to be some scrambling have to be done in the secondary. Then perhaps they're going to have to figure out a way to, if not play without Tier Tart, see how effective he is. And the same thing on the offensive side with Aaron Brewer there in the middle.
Baltimore's not stupid. They know that Indy ran wild on the Titans without Tier Tart. Do you look for Baltimore, if he's not there, to do the same or attempt to do the same?
I look for them to attempt to do the same, just like you said, George. And if Tart's unable to go, I look for the Titans probably, to go with a little different setup. They had Jaleel Johnson in there on Sunday in Indianapolis, along with Kyle Pecco manning that nose tackle spot. They may have to go with somebody else there, maybe a Naquan Jones, to get some snaps there, more so than some of the other guys. They brought this guy end on the practice squad. And I don't know how much he knows or can even contribute right now. His name is Taylor Stallworth. He is a large human being. He looked to even be bigger than Tier Tart, if that's possible. Uh, if he's ready, maybe they put him out there, because I think the biggest thing with that run defense, they talked about getting out of gaps. I think the Colts just kind of went right up the middle and just occupied the blockers because they weren't as big and strong and powerful as Tart. And then when Jeffrey Simmons injured his shoulder and he wasn't as effective, I think that played a factor too. So the Titans, they've got to know that they've got to fix this problem right here, or it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. So do you think even they were caught off guard by how important Tier Tart was, and that when he wasn't there, Indy ran wild?
Maybe a little bit. Tart is one of those guys that, it's hard to pull uh, compliments out of Vrabel, uh, especially with certain players. I think one of the things that Vrabel has always been on Tart about is always giving 100% effort and firing off the ball, and being not being lazy or taking plays off. You remember, George, that was the rub on and the concern with Albert Hainsworth back in the day. But my thought with that is, yes, that can burn you once in a while, but one, the offensive lineman doesn't know when the guy is taking a play off and not really getting after it. And two, you have to keep battling this guy, whether he's putting it out every play consistently or not. But the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, George, they need Tier Tart in the middle of that defense because of his run stopping ability and his athleticism to get off of blocks.
Oh, no kidding. Absolutely no kidding. Terry, anything else on your end you want to share with us?
Well, Vrabel said that practice was a little bit sluggish today to start with. That's to be expected. But he said that once they got rolling and got things going, said he felt like practice went fine. I mean, I'll admit, when Jim Wyatt put out a video of Ryan Tannehill talking with the media after practice, he had some bags under his eyes. It looked like he'd been cramming for an exam, George.
I never experienced that, Terry.
Your grade
I
point
just
average
never.
probably reflected that, didn't it?
Yes, I just never thought it was worth all the cramming. Terry,
Well,
you have
hopefully
a good
Britannicus
weekend.
will be.
Yeah, you
All
have a good
right,
weekend.
thanks.
We'll do it all again on Monday.
All right, thanks, George.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, cramming session notwithstanding, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland, who wants to be your mortgage lady. And it's possible through the folks at USA Mortgage. Dial her up, 615-969-4350. Okay, let's go back to the tail of the tape and talk a little bit about it. Normally, I would have given Baltimore a bigger edge in the passing game, but I've been really surprised so far by the Ravens. I can't figure them out, Billy. They've lost a couple of games that I thought they just totally let get away. In particular, the overtime against Indy, and then last week against Pittsburgh. I didn't give them as big a check mark in the throwing game as I normally would have.
Yeah, they're a weird team to try to figure out. They've got a ton of weapons around Lamar Jackson. They drafted Zay Flowers. Obviously they've got Odell Beckham Jr. They've got a good running game. I mean, they've got everything around him. I think a lot of this is just on Lamar Jackson getting back to, I'm not sure. I would guess he's 100%, but maybe deep down he's still, lingering or banged up here. That you never know. So I think he's probably still getting back to full, 110% health. And then number one, he hasn't played. He didn't play all year last year. So I think a lot of this goes back to chemistry with Lamar Jackson and those weapons, because they've got weapons, and the losses have been tight. I mean, they've been in these games. They haven't been blowouts. But these two teams are similar. They're similar the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, and they've been going at it But it's a big year for the Ravens and big year for the Titans. Big game for both these teams.
So I put the check mark dead even defensively, although if Tart doesn't end up playing, that thing shifts over into Baltimore's category. It just simply does.
Yeah.
Kicking game, there are not many teams that the Titans will have to take a back seat to in the kicking game. They've got one of the real boomers in the punting game, and then Nick Folk has been
Automatic.
perfect. Automatic, whatever. The Ravens, on the other hand, I think most people, if you ask Justin Tucker, best field goal kicker in the game.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are probably two of the best kickers and maybe the two best kickers in the league right now.
T.R. Tart doesn't play. Big advantage to Baltimore.
Big advantage.
And the other one is, let's face it, Lamar Jackson has the ability to improvise, to make things happen even when a play breaks down. The guy is dangerous. I think the Ravens are better. At times they've proven it. At times they haven't. I'm going Baltimore in this game, 24-16 in London.
I agree. I think the Ravens win this one. But again, it's not going to be a blowout. I don't think the Ravens win it handily, but I do think the Ravens get this done.
Okay, after the break, we'll get into a weekend of college football and the top 5 games in the country, 3 of which come straight out of the Pac-12, which a few months from now will be the Pac-Nothing. Crazy. Stay tuned.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458. or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
So, what week are we in now in college football?
Week 7.
Man, hard to believe.
Hard to believe.
Basically, right at the midway mark in you got about 14 weeks of regular season and then conference championships. Got a lot of big games this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious about Oregon and Washington.
Yep.
I guess there's a part of me that thinks this could end up like 56-50. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little, but
yeah,
man, there looks like a lot of offense in that game.
There's going to be a ton of offense in this game, and it's going to come down to which defense can make a play. You know, which defense causes that late interception or that fumble or that muffed punt, because there's going to be a ton of points. I think it's going to be similar to Texas OU. You know, these are two of the best quarterbacks in the country. But George, Oregon has a great running game as well. They're averaging 7 yards a carry, which I want to say is either 1 or 2 in the country. Washington's running game, not as good, around 5 yards a carry.
And they don't really lean on it as much.
No, they're not as physical of a team. Oregon's a physical team, and Bo Nix is a really good player. They've got a good running game. I like Oregon's chances on the road to be that more physical team and maybe wear Washington down in the fourth quarter. I don't think they run away with it by any means, but I think maybe late in the game they sort of wear on them a little bit. But, man, it's going to be fun to watch. Penix versus Nix.
Penix is a transfer from Indiana.
Yep.
Left-hander.
How
he
landed there.
Seen him. Wow.
And Indiana's probably sitting here saying, how do we have this kid? I don't know. I mean, he must have just gotten a lot better.
Late bloomer.
And really
maybe.
Developed at Indiana. But you look at Indiana now, they'd probably like to have Penix.
So the second game, Miami comes in just furious.
Yeah.
Because they gagged one.
Embarrassed.
At home against Georgia Tech where, I just don't know any other way to say it other than the coaching staff had a brain cramp. Instead of falling on the football, taking a kneel down, they decided to give it to a tailback. He fumbled, and then Miami's defense let a Georgia Tech receiver get about 4 yards behind him, and the rest is history.
And if you're a Miami player, you're sitting there asking yourself, is our coach just a big old meathead? What in the world? What are we doing? There's a couple of coaches around him saying, kneel, kneel, kneel. And he runs the football.
Was there that I didn't see?
I looked back and saw it, and
okay.
I forget where I saw it, but there was a staffer. I don't know, probably a GA yelling, kneel, take the knee, and Cristobal didn't even give him the time of day.
It's a bad loss. One of two things is going to happen. Either Miami is going to play really inspired football, and if they do, they'll be a handful.
Yeah.
Or they'll come in flatter than a pancake, and Drake May will pick them apart. If you've not seen that kid, most people have Drake May number 2 on the quarterback board behind Caleb Williams. Man, I think he is a strong number 2.
He is, and they've got Tez Walker back, so all of a sudden they're looking a little bit better as well.
Undefeated, and if they get by this one, they could stay undefeated till very late in November.
Mm-hmm.
Their schedule from this point on gets really pretty favorable. We've talked a lot about A&M and Tennessee. A 2:30 on CBS ought to be a terrific football game.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Tennessee's going to win.
Yep.
but I think it's going to be really close.
I agree. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be a great game at Neyland in front of a raucous crowd. They have waited for this one all season. I mean, the Checker Neyland game, right? And so this is their first opportunity to really show, our crowd can win a game. Their crowd has won games before. They won that Alabama game last year at home, and they're a 3-point favorite. If this was in College Station, A&M's probably a 5, 6, 7-point favorite. They're the better team. They're the more talented team. But Tennessee's got an edge, and I think Tony said this earlier this week. It's in coaching. I mean, Josh Heupel could coach circles around Jimbo Fisher right now. So I like Tennessee, but A&M's going to make it hard. I mean, that D-line, I could see A&M winning. I mean, this is as close to a toss-up as you're going to get this weekend. But I like Tennessee. I think the crowd pulls it out.
So at night, South Bend will be a gigantic atmosphere. Do they go back to green?
No, I don't think they're going back to green.
Why not?
I don't know. I think they usually do it once a year.
Well, I'd make an exception.
Yeah,
Wear
I mean,
green.
Why not? They lost that game when they wore green.
But they played. Look, if they play that good tomorrow, they win.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I think there's a real shot Notre Dame just physically bullies USC. But if USC gets going and Notre Dame's defense doesn't come to play, I think this could get ugly. I really do. I think USC is that dangerous on offense, and Notre Dame, that offense has been putrid.
Yeah, it really has.
They've been
Hartman
awful.
has not had the impact that I thought he would.
No, and so if this defense, there's a lot of pressure on Notre Dame's defense. If they let USC get rolling and boom, 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 touchdown after touchdown, I don't think the Irish offense can keep up. So I don't know, Georgia. And the way, I mean, it's after a stretch of 3 games at night. You got another primetime game. This one's at home. Notre Dame needs it bad.
They've had 4 Godzillas in a row, really tough games.
Yep.
Who knew that Duke would be? But it was.
Yeah.
Louisville under Jeff Brom is a totally different animal. That guy is a great play caller. I think he's one of the best in the college game. And then you got the 7 o'clock game, UCLA at Oregon State. And, for all of us that dogged the kid, DJ
Uiagalelei.
Thank you. He's gone out there, and I don't know if their system fits him better or whatever. He doesn't look like anywhere near the same quarterback he looked like at Clemson.
No, and I don't know what it is either, George. I don't know, as we got announcements coming through the intercom here at Mount Juliet. But
they just told the kids to stay away from us. Why do you think that is?
But no, George, I think he's probably in a better scheme. They've got a good coach at Oregon State. They're a physical team. They're probably not asking him to do as much. He's got better receivers. I mean, I think there's more talent. As crazy as that sounds, I think there's more talent around DJU at Oregon State as there is compared to Clemson.
So those are 5 great ones tomorrow in college football. Whatever the case, hope you enjoy your college football weekend. We're back with Plaster Bets of the Day. Not 2 or 3, but 8. Out of control, totally out of control. But SVP had 8 last night, so I felt like I could go there. Stay tuned.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen printed t-shirts, laser engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Loaded weekend of college football. A lot of great, I don't know, maybe not rivalries. We got some good rivalries in high school football, but there's going to be a lot of great games to watch on Saturday. So looking forward to that. A lot of good games around the mid-state and especially right here in Wilson County where we are right now. Mount Juliet and Lebanon tonight, one of the oldest rivalries in all of the state. So looking forward to that. And again, thanks to everybody here at Mount Juliet. But George, let's close it out with bets of the weekend. Got a couple of NFL plays, several college plays, and it is brought to you by Bart Durham, best in the business. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to their website. That is bartdurham.com. All right, let's take a look at the results from last night, and the Predators got a win.
Played well.
They did
really
play well. Congrats to
Yeah.
Andrew Brunette, GM Barry Trotz, and everybody that made that happen. It was special. They put out a video on social media. You know, I think Yost gave the puck to Brunette, and then I think Trotz. You know, they gave a couple of speeches after that. So that was fun to watch last night.
Now there were three others that we put out there, and they're not in the records. So actually, the record should be 63-51. I actually lost on a Hail Mary. Houston. I had West Virginia. That is a bad beat.
That was an awful beat.
That's a bad beat. The Braves felt like a bad beat.
You went with your heart on that one.
I did. That's
it usually never works out.
No, that's one of the cardinal sins of gambling. And then the third one had Kansas City minus 10.5. And the field goal
failed to cover.
No, they did cover.
Or they did.
They did cover 19-8. The field goal with about 2.5 minutes left is what covered. So there were a lot of people in Kansas City happy for the Chiefs, but more happy for themselves.
Ugly game.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to where I'm going on these. I'm going home team a lot this weekend. Tennessee, because it's in Knoxville, I think will find a way to win. And when they win, I think they will cover. Are they a ton better than A&M? I don't think so, but I guess that's why they'll play tomorrow, is to sort of determine that. The second one is a little bit of a gut shot. I don't like Florida right now. I don't know what Florida is. A couple of times they've looked okay. A couple of times they have gone in the dumper. This is one that's kind of a razor-thin deal. I'm going to take South Carolina's crowd as the difference to beat Florida. The third one, I don't understand the number. South Florida, in my mind, and this is where you can end up being dead wrong. South Florida is a better program than FAU. Will they prove it tomorrow? Hard to know, but I'm going to take them at home minus 2.5 against FAU. Now, Got 3 more colleges. Here we go.
My bad. A little late to switch those. There we go.
Okay. I'm going against Southern Cal's defense. I watched them when I got home from Atlanta last week, and Arizona really pushed them around defensively. Don't get me wrong, they're really good on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah.
They'll win a lot of games because of that. Caleb Williams is terrific. He was a Heisman Trophy winner a year ago, and the truth of it is he's having a Heisman Trophy kind of year, whether he wins it or not. But I think going to South Bend's a little bit different. I think Notre Dame has probably had a week where they have had it shoved down their throat that Louisville kicked them around pretty good.
Yeah.
Notre Dame in a bounce-back game at home with what the Las Vegas says is a mild upset, if that,
I like
against
it.
undefeated USC.
I like it. I don't know if I believe it, but I like it.
Oregon State is just physically better than UCLA. I think they'll punish UCLA. I think they'll win the game in double digits. The last one is tonight. Fresno basically pooped the bed last week against Wyoming. But before that, Fresno had been really good. Utah State, not very good. Fresno on the road, minus the 4.5. They'll win this game by a touchdown or more. Now to the 2 pro plays. Cincy at home. Back when Burrow was really struggling, I wouldn't have touched this. I do think he's gotten considerably healthier. I'm going Bengals at home against Seattle because I think Cincinnati's just better.
Yeah, Seahawks haven't looked very good, and Joe Burrow is still the quarterback. I know he's not 100%, but he's sort of hobbling around trying to find ways to win for the Bengals. So I like that.
Raiders.
The Raiders.
In a battle of a coaching staff that knows each other very well. Josh McDaniels, the former offensive coordinator, against his teacher, Bill Belichick.
Boy, wouldn't this be crazy if McDaniels beats Belichick? There would be some Patriots fans not happy and maybe calling it quits for Belichick.
Remember what happened a year ago in that game?
What happened?
Don't you remember the touchdown on the fluke at the end?
By who?
I don't remember. But
By
there
which
was a
team?
crazy
I don't
ending.
remember what happened
I
at
don't
all.
remember either. There was a crazy ending to their game in Vegas. This one is also in Vegas. Now, one of the areas that probably is bad is that I've gone totally home teams other than Fresno. That's not necessarily a good recipe, but I kind of believe it. A lot of low favorites that just simply need to win outright to probably cover. So those are the 8 we're going to do.
This weekend could really put a dent in that record, George.
Billy.
We'll be watching closely.
Have some confidence.
I'm just saying.
You don't put together a record that has been this good by being a rum-dum. I don't know what a rum-dum is, but it sounded good.
Sure.
We done?
We're done.
Good. All of you have a great weekend. If you get a chance tonight, go see a high school game in your area because those kids are your future college stars. Drive safely. We want you back on Monday when we talk Titans and Ravens. Wish them the very best of luck. It's an 8:30 in the morning start time on NFL Network on Sunday. Have a great weekend, everybody.